Welcome back to Couch Best Place. Two friends get your gaming goodness every Monday. Usually this episode's coming out early because Game Awards were today, Friday, in case you didn't know. Friday, Australia. We're recording it late. Very late Friday night, but nonetheless. My name's John Blight. Joining me to discuss the Game Awards trailers, the reveals, everything. Ciaran Marchant.
World premiere. Well, no, it's not really a world premiere for me, is it? Because I'm always here. But whatever. Hi.
And Ashley Hobley.
Guys, I want to let you know there's a Whooper warning. They're everywhere.
How weird was that? You would have thought they would have. I thought that was going to change the Pokemon. Like,
what a Pokemon to pick. What a Pokemon to pick. Just Whoopers. Just.
Why Whooper?
I don't know. It was very weird. All right, so let's go through it this way. So firstly, let's do the overall thoughts. Then we'll go through the winners. Probably won't take that long because I don't think there's anything too surprising to discuss. And then of course we're going to discuss all the trailers and stuff that was shown off. So, Ash, what were your overall thoughts on this year's Game Awards show?
It's fine. Yeah. I don't think it was like mind blowing or anything. I will admit personally, it didn't help that I may have also had my focus drawn elsewhere. Because the Disney Investors Day stream was running at the same time with a lot of important information there. So it was like... I'm very happy the Star Wars stuff finished. One eye over here and one eye over there.
Yeah, the Star Wars stuff finished.
Yeah, so it was mostly like the Marvel stuff was running through most of the start of the Game Awards. So
I'm like, I need to pick one to concentrate on because I'm supposed to be updating our news piece of the winners. So I was like... stick one. Anyway, yeah. Ciaran, what do you think of this year's show?
I thought overall was pretty good. I paused Cyberpunk a lot more than I thought I would to watch stuff and to keep an eye on trailers and to listen to some of the interviews and the speeches. So overall it was pretty good. I don't think any of the trailers were really that kind of over the top amazing, but they were still really good and really solid trailers. So it was pretty stock standard, especially for the year that is been 2020, like it was pretty good in that aspect.
Yeah, that was pretty much my review, which is for the year that is 2020, the fact that we got a show as good as this was, which is another pretty solid game award show in 2020 with all the this. I think that's a big plus. Jeff and the production team that he has. Can take away because it is a well-produced, well-put-together show. Even with the people in Zoom calls, there wasn't anything like outlandishly bad microphone or quality-wise or like technical.
Honestly, I'm kind of... It's nice that there wasn't any, like, a lot of the award kind of acceptance speeches, there wasn't many that seemed to be pre-recorded or like they knew that they were going to win. Like, especially there was
one. There was
one,
which is the esports best athlete, I think.
Oh that was definitely that was in the pre-show, right? That was
I can't remember, but that was the only one. That was in
the pre-show, and I did catch that. But other than that, like even just like freaking the No Man's Sky guy, like he seemed completely
Sean
caught
Murray.
off guard.
Yeah, he was completely off guard. He took a skull of his drink because he's like fucking Fortnite, and then they were like No Man's Sky, and he was like. Wait, what?
So it was nice to see that was actual like legit feeds. It wasn't just.
Well, you could tell it was legit feeds because most of the winners half the time you'd hear their phones ding, 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 like people were texting them like congrats, and it was live. So because I picked up on that in Laura Bailey, but then it kept happening to everyone else throughout the show. Because I mean my criticisms is the same as they would be every other year. Which is that, look, I appreciate that Jeff does this show, and like unlike a lot of other people, I actually understand the fact that like he does this. It's Jeff, and like it's like people. It's not really. Yeah, it's like I know he has like a team that help him or whatever, but like for the most part, it is one of those things where you can kind of say this show is Jeff. Like he hosts, he produces, he does everything. Like it's not a corporate run entity. But with all that said, I still think I would prefer the show to lean more towards being a proper award show and less just a hype reel. I still feel like it every year just leans too heavily towards, of course, the trailers. And that's always most noticeable when they show like 3, 4 trailers And then Jeff comes back and he's like, here's the winner of this, and back to the trailers.
You know what? The one that got me the most annoyed while watching it today was they went through a list that included simulators, RPGs, strategy games, and then they got to fighting games, and they had like a proper segment for the fighting games, even though the fighting games might have had the weakest kind of nominee list out of any of the categories. Like it was, and they didn't even have like an acceptance speech afterwards for the game that won. Like it was just so frustrating. It was like, how did you decide that this was going to be?
Because they got Daniel, the Karate Kid, and whatever to agree to do a segment, and they're like, which one should they host?
Ralph Macchio.
That's the one. Yeah, I only know the characters now. I know.
And the other character coming to Cobra Kai season 3.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what it was. That was the time.
That was the time. So they're like, which one makes sense for them to do? Karate, fighting, sports. Like that was I think that's the train of thought for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise, like, I don't think I think the whole...
Wait, can I say what my favorite thing is?
Yeah.
They hyped up Tom Holland is coming to the Game Awards.
He was there, technically.
He's the guy who's going to be in the Uncharted movie. Everybody gets hyped up. Uncharted trailer, is it coming? Is it coming? No, he's there to introduce Nolan North, who everybody knows.
He's there to introduce the real...
Nathan Drake.
Yeah,
like, that's
kind of funny.
It makes you think, though, sometimes, is it just like was there a behind-the-scenes thing happen where they were supposed to have a trailer and then it got yoinked at the last minute? And then
I know
just kind of like...
Jeff has said in years past that sometimes he thinks he has something, and then he'll up to like the day before the team or whatever will be like, we've changed our mind, we don't want to show here anymore, and that's just what he has to deal with. Or they're like, we couldn't get a trailer we're happy with done, so they've had to pull it. He said it. He said in years past that's happened. So
it makes sense, especially today, for them not to have pulled out the Uncharted trailer.
Yeah, would have got covered under all the Marvel, Star Wars, Disney movie news. Like for mainstream people, anyway. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so let's run down. I'm going to run down stuff. Stop when anyone put their hand up if you want to talk about something a bit more, or I'll stop on stuff that kind of stood out to me. So from bottom to top, so we're starting with the esports stuff. Best esports team went to G2 Esports. Best esports host went to Shocks. Best esports game, League of Legends. Best esports event, League of Legends World Championship. Best esports coach, Zony. Best esports,
For future reference, anytime we do esports predictions, just pick the League of Legends stuff.
I don't know how. I just want to say I win every year on the esports.
You win every year just off that principle, and it frustrates the shit out of me.
Dylan had 5 out of the 6 esports categories correct.
Like it just frustrates the shit out of me. Where it's even I didn't even like stick to.
Ciaran, number 1 esports.
I think I had like
personality on the Explosion Network. 1 correct.
Yeah.
One. Yeah, I was like, this is like just over. Like whenever it just kept being League of Legends, I'm like, this is fucked.
But you make some weird choices. Like esports event was League, obviously, because World Championship was
League
the
makes
best
sense
event.
because I think that is a better event.
You didn't pick best esports game. You picked Valorant when League actually put on the most consistent under COVID terms esports event.
Well, I disagree with that, but the people that did weren't even nominated. So yeah, that's where that's. Look, I understand.
Interesting who actually voted on these categories.
Yeah, like when I did,
actual people in the esports industry.
They do. They a couple of years ago they changed it. They have specific people that do it. Yeah.
Okay. You know, it's just like, you know, if there was an American sports thing, you would assume it would be a football player who won something. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know a couple of years ago they changed it because they used to have the normal people vote. I think when they first had them, and then everyone was like. That's
the fuck. Yeah.
Best esports athlete was Showmaker, and then into the quote unquote proper stuff, whatever. Best debut game went to Phasmophobia, which I was kind of shocked. I know when we all discussed it, I was like, I thought that game was just a meme. I wouldn't have, whatever. Best content creator, Valkyrie. Still don't know who she is, but
she's on Punch of Thieves. She.
She's with them. I know what they are. I know what them. I've heard of them.
She's a content creator for that org.
Jeez.
And she's kind of
associating with thieves. I don't think that's a good thing.
100 of them. 100 of them. Not even like just a couple of them. Like heaps.
I still think this whole category is kind of weird. Every year, it's It's a weird one because when it started as a trending gamer, they kept trying to give it to people who were like doing positive, impactful things or whatever, and then they kind of ended like, and that made sense for the first couple of years, I feel, and then they gave it to like fucking.
I mean, it wasn't their fault. It was the people who got it.
Yeah, it's just a weird category. It's still just
not great afterwards.
Still just a weird category. You know, like I feel like everything else, if you don't know or haven't played the games, you could kind of get an idea of why it won. But for this, like they just show a bunch of clips and then she does an acceptance speech. Like I feel like if you don't know who the person is, like I didn't.
They picked like the weirdest clips.
Yeah, like I didn't get an understanding
they did pick
of
the
why
weirdest
she
clip for
won.
her.
You know what I mean?
Like,
I'm like, why did she win?
No, for all of them.
I
think
like,
Tim, it made sense, but other than
Tim's was like, oh, it's his Fall Guys stuff because that was
that
really
made
big
sense
over
because
social media.
even I don't watch him, but I
Yeah.
knew about that obviously. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Best multiplayer Among Us. Who'd have thought? Best sports racing Tony Hawk's. Who'd have thought? Best sim strategy Microsoft Flight Simulator. Who'd have thought? Best family game Animal Crossing New Horizons. Best fighting game Mortal Kombat 11. Who'd have thunk it? Role-playing game, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best action adventure, Last of Us Part 2. Best action game went to Hades. Innovation in accessibility went to Last of Us Part 2. Best VR AR, Half-Life Alyx. Best community support went to Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. I was kind of shocked because I was like dead sure it wouldn't even get close because I just thought that, like, I know you picked it and the reasons you gave was like they were super active, but I'm like, is that actually community support or is that like awarding like a social media award? You know what I mean? I just thought of it completely different in my mind.
Yes, yeah.
Where I'm like, community support is kind of stuff that you wouldn't really see or is happening in DMs or response to emails or on forums, you know, like in the nitty gritty.
So stuff you don't see that maybe the Fall Guys team was actually doing.
No, but yous were like, Fall Guys should win because they were always super active on social media. And I'm like, is that actually what we're deeming as community support now? I don't know. Maybe I just don't. I don't understand the
I don't know.
definition. Anyway. Best mobile game, Among Us. By the way,
Before you jump ahead,
Yeah.
I want to say,
Among Us,
yes,
yes.
Among Us devs, love them.
yes, they were great.
Wish they'd won more awards. They were
They're
clearly
really
the
nice.
best.
They were clearly like
super nice.
having the best year of their life in the worst year of most people's lives, you know? Like,
Yeah, this game that they made 2 years ago suddenly blew up out of nowhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And now it's coming to Xbox Game Pass.
Is it?
Yeah,
that?
it was during
Must
the Game Pass thing.
I must have
It said
blinked.
that- Yeah,
something.
it was like Among Us coming to PC Game Pass. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Save,
Oh, PC Game Pass.
yeah, save some people $7.
Best indie Hades, best ongoing game No Man's Sky. Yeah, that was, as we were talking about just before.
That was a surprise.
That was a
That
surprise.
was a
and
surprise
that was
when
funny.
you think about it. You're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. So you know,
Did they have a big update this year? I can't
Yeah, it
remember.
wasn't
they had
beyond, no?
they had the couple massive ones. Like they've had like such consistent massive updates.
I remember that last year they had the VR one.
They
but
just
then-
had a next gen update.
Or they released to Xbox this
They
year.
did they've got a next gen, like it's all prettier, 60 frames.
Yeah.
They're constantly adding stuff. You know, I always like see it, but don't read too much into it because I'm like, do I care? Don't I care? I don't know. Anyway, games that impact went to Tell Me Why. Best performance, Last of Us, Abby, Laura Bailey. I know, of course, very happy with that. And I still straight away went to search for the Dark Side Twitter as soon as that happened. People were already just spitting it, and I was just like,
Oh, that was spitting at every single award. I wouldn't be too concerned. Hashtag rigged. Apparently Donald Trump was all over Twitter. He's a big... He didn't like Last of Us either.
Is that a?
I'm gonna say it. Donald Trump did not like Last of Us 2. Hashtag rigged.
Probably. What? By the way, I don't know if I missed something. What is all this rigged? Is that something? I've never seen that before. Like, was that something? Did someone start that I don't know about or something? Like, I saw lots of people being like rigged. I'm like, is this a meme? Is this a joke?
No, that's just a thing people say when the thing they wanted to win didn't win. They can't believe that somebody else had a different
That's
opinion.
those people can't be serious, right? Like,
I know.
like to believe the show's rigged is like that. That's
I know
like
some
when
people believe
thought,
the American election's rigged.
well,
so
yeah, you're right. Remember when everyone thought
knows
that
it?
Death Stranding was going to pick up every war because Jeff rigged it, and then everyone's like, all of the judges were like but we vote. So, and then
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, I will say, Laura Bailey very graceful in her speech, thanking all the passionate fans who had passionate feelings about the
I
game.
don't feel like she had to be that nice. You know what I mean?
No, she could just tell them all to fuck off.
Yeah, she was a little bit too nice for my liking for people who have been sending her death threats and whatever else. So,
yeah.
Best audio design went to Last of Us Part 2. Best score and music went to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
This one, I don't know. This one this seemed weird.
It is some new music and reorchestrated stuff.
Yeah, but I didn't really stand out to me. I can't even remember it really.
That's a hot take, I feel. Final Fantasy VII soundtracks.
Although it has been like 8 months.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII soundtrack is considered like one of the all-time great soundtracks. And don't forget the original versions were not all of it was like as high quality as we have now, whatever you want to call it. So even the classic songs they've redone, it's like classic music that everyone considers some of the best gaming music redone. So you've got all the people voting who are probably already fans who are just nostalgia voting, but technically it's
I guess.
new, so.
But would you say that's the best one on that list?
No, I love the music of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I've heard it so much that I would have probably just voted for something else that was actually new.
Yeah, I think looking at that, even though I think I predicted Persona
Hades.
maybe or Hades. Sorry, I predicted Hades. Final Fantasy was like probably one of my last choices for that award overall from everything else that was in that. I think between me, my choices were between Doom and Hades. Like just personally because of those soundtracks being like I understand it being remastered, but at the same time, it's that same kind of that same discussion we have about remakes and remasters and stuff like that. Is like should they?
Well, I mean, I also just think, and this is one of my criticisms for the game in a whole, is that a lot of the songs that they used in different places or they're overused, like Sephiroth's One Winged Angel, obviously. Yep. Like that's played a lot throughout it whenever they slowly tease him or whatever, and it doesn't have the same impact. And that's also just a criticism I have of that game for overusing Sephiroth and teasing him, and even some of the other themes aren't used in the same places. So like I do think Final Fantasy VII is one of the greatest games soundtracks of all time. I think it's also one of the best games of all time. And I just don't think that the remake's anywhere near as good. And I don't think the music used in that game is anywhere near as impactful as it is in the original. But other people like that game a lot more than I do. So maybe the music worked more for them than it did for me, because the game also worked better for them than it did for me. So, I mean, I recently played Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I would probably, off that list, I would probably pick that. And maybe that's just because I recently played it, but at the moment, I would probably say that's my pick of the bunch, because that soundtrack is fucking the shit. Best art direction, Ghost of Tsushima. I was kind of glad it got that, because that means people weren't just doing the whole
photo mode for no reason,
or just going like Hades or Ori, because they have the more like you can screenshot it and put it on a wall and people go, oh, that's pretty. Okay. And people are actually kind of looking at Ghost of Tsushima between its, like, as a game as a whole, it has all these filters and the black and white Kurosawa mode. Like, if you take all of that into account,
even
as part of
that plus no HUD.
Yeah, even that kind of the integration of using the wind and everything for the direction kind of system, like the navigation system in the game, even just like the art direction of, okay, if we've got wind blowing, we have to make sure that the wind that's blowing in that direction affects everything in that environment. That's just
even all the character designs, you get all the masks and all that sort of stuff. So it's cool it went to that, I think. Yeah. Best narrative went to Last of Us Part 2, obviously. I was glad that they had Hallie Gross do the acceptance for that one, because that is the one where she is the co-writer and everyone just kind of forgets her a lot of time. It's like, oh, Neil, you know what I mean? Neil's always the one at the
forefront. So the same with the when they won the accessibility award, they had some of the team from
well, that would if Neil accepted for that, I would have been like, come on, are we kidding?
Yeah, but, normally it's just like a one person.
He probably had nothing or barely anything to do with this part of the game.
I think he's actively told them to stop working on it from memory, from an interview.
Really?
Because they were like overworking.
Well, they got an award, I guess.
He was trying to stop those crunch review things, and they just wanted to help people.
Last of Us Part 2 winning Best Game Direction. That was the one. So I did tweet that I thought it was like on the whole crunch thing. That's the one award where I'm like, what is the this is the one you can get kind of nitty into the whole like crunch cross with game direction thing, because if you want to be like, well, what's the description of game direction, and if we're going to include managing your team correctly and crunch and all that.
Direction,
I don't think that's direction
producing.
though. That's production.
I don't know. It's just weird. Like it depends on their description. You know what I mean? Like that's the one where I was like okay, we could delve into this one if we wanted to.
No, I don't agree with that, but I don't know. I personally don't like the idea of using the video game awards to try and tackle issues such as crunch, because I don't think it's the place to do that.
What? No. Well, so I'm not too much. Like we're going to give Last of Us some fucking awards later, right? It's going to happen. Because like, here's the thing. I gave the game like a 9 or a 9.5. I can say I love the game and then still also go, I love the game, but also the Naughty Dog has, as a studio, has problems.
Mm-hmm.
You made something beautiful and wonderful, but as a studio, please don't do this anymore. Like you can be of both minds.
It's not up to the Game Awards to say that, though. Really, is it? Like, it's not.
No, it's just part of the discussion. It's just an interesting discussion.
I know it's part of the discussion, but it's not really.
That's why my tweet was like, it's nice. I'm glad it won because I love the game. But also, it's just like an interesting discussion to have of like, if you're awarding something that crunched, like a studio that crunched, are you then saying that was an okay behavior because it got you an award? You know what I mean? Like, it's just an interesting thing to think about, to throw out there. Again, like I'm saying, we're probably going to give it a bunch of awards. So, what does it mean? But the game direction was the one that I was interested to see, like who, what's the proper description for that? And could you be like, mark them down? Like, was that actually because I thought in my head, game direction is like, I think about it like a movie, but that's not actually how they word it. They're like the studio that did the best job at blah, 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 blah. So it's a studio award, not like a person award, whereas best direction for a movie is obviously for a sole director or directors. And they're like, well, this studio did a great job at directing and producing this game.
That's true.
And I'm like, well,
because Neil does mention a couple of other directors who worked on the game as well. So
yes.
It's not purely
him. So it's not the Neil Award, it's the studio award. So that's why I was like, it's an interesting kind of think piece.
The thing is though, unless they were to add an award that was straight up like Studio of the Year.
I think they did that at one stage. I think they did. Which a couple of years ago.
Because I think DICE has an award for it.
Yeah.
If I remember off the top of my head, I think DICE definitely has a Studio of the Year award for that kind of support. If you want an award that kind of highlights a good studio with good practices, I would recommend adding that. Like, not necessarily.
Well, I don't know. I'm not trying to take away the awards. It's an interesting thing to throw out.
Aren't you though?
Just, and especially if we come into next year and Cyberpunk's in these categories. I feel like it would, again, be an interesting point of discussion. But anyway, Last of Us picked up Game of the Year.
So they used to have a developer of the year.
I thought they did have something, but
when did they discontinue that?
But I think they always used to be like, oh, look,
2016
they put out this DLC. But I think that now changes to like, because you have so many ongoing games.
It'll be ongoing, yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of the same award because they used to give it to a studio and be like, oh, they've like kept the game updated and like they did all this free stuff with blah, 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 blah. So now I feel like having that award now would kind of be silly. Also, I think adding an award just to give the studios who aren't crunching an award would also be kind of ridiculous. It'd be like, well, can you all just, we are.
So why'd they stop the Industry Icon Award? That was a nice thing.
That was a nice thing. I don't know if...
well, they stopped that as well as they stopped the... Well, they just turned that into the Content Creator Award, the other one that...
Yeah, they changed that one. They stopped that one. I think the last person to get it was Amy, maybe. I remember she got it 1 year, and she's the last person I can remember getting it. So...
Trending gamer?
No. Icon. Whatever. Gaming industry icon.
Industry icon was Greg Thomas.
Oh, yeah, from...
in 2018.
What the old narrative games, whatever it was, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's been a while. Anyway, Last of Us winning wasn't really a shock, was it? I didn't predict it. but I wasn't shocked as well.
I don't know. I think we go in every year.
I think Sekiro threw me last year. I was like, oh, maybe
Sekiro definitely threw everybody last year with that kind of out of like very left wing. But I think overall, I guess what we do is, as well as it would have been really easy for us on the predictions if we'd all just said Last of Us LOL is just going to win everything, because that's kind of what it did. What did Last of Us pick up? Like 7 or
6 out of.
I think it won
6 out of the 6 categories, I believe.
Yeah, I think everything it was nominated for, it got an award.
No, that's true.
Yeah, everything it was nominated. Which
only Ashley Johnson lost,
but Laura Bailey won it over her. Like, which, actually, by the way, I was super happy that Laura won that, because fuck everybody who hates on her. But I guess the thing was, when Last of Us came up, because of the zeitgeist around it and the general community backlash to it, as well as on top of that, people's reactions to the game where it wasn't getting instant 10s, people were saying it was a bit too long, people weren't liking some sections of it. There was a lot of discourse around if the story was good, if the story was bad, or how people felt about the story.
Plus, there were obviously the spoilers, the leaks threw everything out as well.
Very much.
I will say, actually, they did lose art direction. So
okay, they lost art direction. Okay,
correct.
fair enough.
Correction, sorry.
So I just don't like. It's just I didn't expect them just to take everything out, because when
and scored, they also lost score.
Okay, all right.
Just to clarify there.
Just to clarify, they didn't win absolutely everything, but they still won a lot. It's just very strange, in my opinion. There was just
critically, it did. I don't think it was always doing well. I think just between the Twitter mob storms, and then, because here's the thing, a lot of people who were giving it high scores were also just having a lot of critical discussion about it. And I mean, I was at the time too. Like, I remember on a lot of podcasts being like, I don't like this, I don't like that. I still gave it like a 9 or a 9.5 or whatever, and I feel like that's how a lot of people were, because in reality, that game is so good. It evokes so much emotion from you and gives you so much to think about, that it's not just something the way you sit back and you're like, amazing game, love it, move on with your life. It was, for a lot of people, amazing game, but also there was so much critical thought happening. And I guess if you were to just take a lot of that at a certain point and not look what those people actually thought overall, it'd be like, well, you mustn't like it. But a lot of those people were like, no, I like it. I just think it's, people are having these interesting discussions about game length, the disconnect between the gameplay and the narrative, all that sort of stuff, like all this sort of conversations. I was about to say some spoiler stuff, but I might maybe shouldn't. But
yeah, we shouldn't.
Yeah. So I mean, that was always a positive of that game. Like, it was so just hit on so many notes with people that people were having so much discussion about it. If a game's like a 10 out of 10 and it comes out and everyone's like, this game's the best, and then next week you're hearing no one talk about it, I'm like, was it really? Like, you're not really having any conversations about it. Like, yeah. Anyway, that was the winners. Let's go through the trailers. So I'm just going from pre-show through to, I'm doing them in order because that's what order they're in my article. So I'll just run through the pre-show stuff. Loop Hero, Devolver published game. Tishi? It's coming to Google Stadia. Very pretty art style. Kind of looks like a Pixar movie or something like that. I'm hoping it comes to other stuff as well. So, Sea of Solitude's getting a director's cut.
We can only hope.
Can I hope? Sea of Solitude's getting a director's cut coming to Nintendo Switch. I played that last year, I think it was. It was pretty good. I did enjoy it.
I think so.
It's about this, like, its themes are like depression, anxiety, and these types of things, and it's interesting that I don't know everything they're adding to the director's cut, but it's interesting it's only coming to Switch. But anyway, Shady Part of Me, which I think is a weird name, but it just makes me, I'm like, what a weird name. Anyway, it's
about shadows.
It has cool art style, interesting, looks kind of cool. Also, Hannah Murray from Game of Thrones or Skins, whatever, is doing the voice for that, so that was cool. Near Replicant version 1.22474487139 ... Whew, that got a gameplay trailer. So I would like to find the time to play this, because even though I haven't played the second Nier, when it came out a couple of years ago, I played the fuck out of the first one, which is the remaster.
What was the first one?
It was just called Nier.
Was it just called Nier? Really? I didn't know that Nier had a first
That's
one
why
and a
it's
second one.
the replicant of Nier.
I just thought, yeah.
Version 1.2.
Nier was like a Nier was also a
87193.
Nier's also like a spin-off franchise of Drakengard. I think that's what it's called. Which is there's like 3 of those games at the time, something like that. Anyway, it's a spin-off of that. So I played the first Nier a lot. I was trying to get the platinum. There's fucking one item I was like grinding for ages to get so I could upgrade a weapon. I couldn't get it. Anyway, so this looks like Nier. Everything they're showing reminds me of it. It kind of looks old because it is an old game, and this is kind of like it's not like a full remake. It's, I guess, like a remaster to a degree. So it still looks a little bit rough, but it'll be cool for people who played the latest one. What's Nier Automata? Wasn't it? Yeah. Because I know a lot of people played that one more because that one got obviously a lot of awards and stuff. So maybe a lot of people will be able to play the first one now.
It's one of those games that, like, the thing that always shied me away from Nier is like, oh, by the way, you don't get the real ending of the game until you hit like ending D, and you're like, what? There's what?
But also, the first run takes you the longest, and then every run thereafter only took like a couple of hours. And it weirdly, because I did all of them for the first Nier, and it weirdly just hooks you through, like, because they make it simpler to get to the ending. It's because it's part of the game. They just kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Because you're always upgrading and there's kind of different stuff to do and whatever. Then they announced a sequel to Lair. Well, it's not really, but Century Age of Ashes. It's a dragon combat game. I tweeted at the time, at Greg Miller because as soon as I saw it, it just made me think of Lair, the classic PS3 game that I remember he reviewed for IGN back in the day. It was like a meme for a long time. Because Lair had it was like a launch PS3 game where they had to use the controller's gyroscope, the shitty PS3 gyroscope stuff to like steer the dragon. It was fucking terrible. This looks pretty cool though. Like,
this is what it would look like if Michael Bay rebooted How to Train Your Dragon.
What was that one with Christian Bale in that? The Dragon movie. What's that called?
Dragon Heart,
something like that. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit, I guess. Like same style and stuff. So when we get to the main show, they kind of come out swinging with one of the biggest announcements of the show. Obviously, was
Rain of Fire.
Rain of Fire. That was.
Oh goodness, there it is.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's latest next character coming out this month at some point. Sephiroth is coming to Smash.
Can I say this like whole like trailer was just kind of holy crap!
It was hype.
Like
what it was.
Mario got stabbed. Like,
they always die in these trailers. Luigi's died like 5-6 times.
Not properly died though. Like you don't see one get run through with a fucking katana.
Didn't he get taken out by one of the?
I don't know that thing of Mario until they went to that shot of him like just it was through his
Castlevania peoples?
When it was through his overall. Until then, I was like, wow, this is the most brutal.
Yeah, no,
Nintendo thing I've ever seen.
Like, okay, fucking hell.
It was a super hype trailer though. It was the kind of thing that makes me wish I was into Smash, you know, because I'm like, this is cool. Love Sephiroth, all about this. One Winged Angel music's playing, loving everything, but also
the Kenny Omega fanboy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know him because of Kenny.
Yeah. Well, no, I knew Sephiroth before I knew Kenny.
I know you do. I know.
But I'm watching it, I'm like, this is fucking great, but at most I'm just going to buy the Amiibo maybe. You know, like that's like the extent of everything I'm going to go for. So
Sora's coming next because all these Kingdom Hearts characters are in the game.
Everyone keeps making that meme, and I think it's a funny meme, but Sora is never getting out of the Smash.
Sora's never coming. We're going to get King Mickey. That's what's going to happen.
If anything, you're going to get fucking Sora added to Fortnite. If anything is going to get added. Here's that shot, by the way, for the video viewers. It's fucking it's disturbing, is what it is. It is actually disturbing. He's dead. Like, Mario is dead. It is like such, it's a beautiful screenshot.
That is, Mario's dead. Like, Mario is flat out in that picture. Yeah. It's like kids all over the world who are potentially watching this just saw Mario die.
I was like,
guys, it's all right.
They
get an extra life.
I love how they just go to this one shot, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, I thought he was dead, like with everyone else. But no, this was obviously super cool. And this was a great way to start the show. In a lot of ways, the first couple of things out of the show were some of the biggest hype moments for the show.
I mean, to be honest, they usually are.
I don't know. It's usually like a couple at the start and then some more.
I feel like
at
they
the end.
come out strong.
Yeah.
Like last year, I believe they came out
Didn't they start with
pretty
Hellblade?
early on with the Xbox
Yeah,
reveal.
that was like first or second or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got to start big, and then in the middle is usually.
But then there was nothing anywhere else to match it. To be honest.
I mean, we'll discuss that when we get to them. But I feel like most the ending wasn't as hype as it usually is for most people, for the majority of it. So next thing was Perfect Dark was announced. So the Initiative's secret quadruple A game is Perfect Dark. Which I find quite funny because they've been talking about it for so long. Like, we're doing this secret project. It's like one of the most expensive, biggest games ever. It's not AAA, it's quadruple A. And then it's a rebirth of the Perfect Dark franchise. Like, Microsoft, after all this time of having these IPs, that they're finally doing something with one of them. So, of course, I see a lot of people online. Like, I saw someone in the comments actually on the video who's like got Banjo-Kazooie as their YouTube name, or YouTube channel name, and they just commented on the video, so you're telling me there's a chance? I was like, that's pretty good. I can pay that. It was a pretty cool trailer, though. I've never played a Perfect Dark game. I've only ever heard people talk about them, so I have absolutely no nostalgia for it. So just judging the trailer based upon the trailer itself, I thought it was a pretty cool trailer. Like, it has all these voiceovers, shit's going crazy. All I ever know about Perfect Dark is some secret agent, save the world type shit. And I'm like, I guess that's what's being set up here.
A lot of the earlier Perfect Darks are very reminiscent of the same kind of gameplay as GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Was
from
like
what I've seen,
on the N64, like a lot of the gameplay and a lot of the aiming is that kind of aiming system. But its basis and like its characters are actually really solid. So it'd be really nice to see them utilize those and bring those forward to a modern day kind of game style and see exactly how far they can push that IP now.
I'll tell you that one thing though, like it's you can tell something's kind of iconic when even I haven't played Perfect Dark, but I know what the main character looks like so much, like the overall look. Then when it got to the end of the trailer, I was like, oh, Perfect Dark. Like, I haven't even played one. I was like, so I can't imagine the people who are super fans if I'm like, oh, Perfect Dark. Like, people must be losing their shit. So happy for them. It'll be interesting to see what that comes out to be. There was no release date given, or even a rough release date. So next thing was Back 4 Blood, which is basically Left 4 Dead 4, right? Which is the funny thing. There's 3 Left 4 Deads, right? Mine just...
no, there was only 2
Left 4 Deads. Okay, so they skipped... So this is if they skipped Left 4 Dead 3 and then just like changed Left 4 Dead style.
Well, no, it's
just Left 4 Dead 3.
It's just Left 4 Dead 3 because they're just keeping the fact that 4 is in the name of the game.
Got them there. So yeah, it's the original Left 4 Dead team making a brand new zombie game, 4-player co-op.
No, this was the team that went away and made that
they made
Beast game, right? They made Evolve. Yeah, cool. That was
Evolve, which kind of was the first of a genre, even if it did kind of terrible. So,
well, apparently it did really well once it went to free to play. Apparently, it got much better once it went free to play.
Yeah, well, people started playing it.
Lifespan out of it. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what happens.
If they'd gone free to play out the gate, and then. Which is the thing, if that game came out now, it would have been free to play and it would have had like a season pass and all this sort of stuff. But because it came out when it did, and that wasn't really an accepted model at the time.
Yeah.
But this looks pretty cool. I'll be keen to play it. I'm down for Left 4 Dead. I always played the fuck out of Left 4 Dead with my friend on Xbox 360 back in the day, so I always got some memories. I can get down for these good co-op versus AI games. Although one thing I'll say, few too many zombie games during this year's show. Or zombie adjacent, or monsters and stuff. Next thing was that Forza Horizon's getting Cyberpunk's car for free, which cool crossover.
Cool. Yeah. I got very confused when I looked over and saw Cyberpunk stuff and I was like, wait, there's like a Cyberpunk trailer at the Video Game Awards? And they're like, oh no, it's Forza. Cool.
Yeah. It's free, so the car's a 2058 Quadra Turbo RV Tech is the car.
Ooh.
So you can drive it in ray tracing, like
on console. It's the only place you can get.
It'll probably run better on your PS4 or PS.
Xbox, then it does. Yeah.
Well, it won't be running very well on the PS4 at all, actually.
Yeah. It'll be running at 60 frames on your Xbox Series X.
On your Xbox Series X,
it will be running very well on your Xbox Series.
There we go.
Fuck.
There we go.
Xbox One. That's the one.
It's fine. Console exclusives. It's all good.
Wow.
Xbox One, it'll be running better than it would be on your Cyberpunk.
Just stop.
Just edit this bit
No,
out.
I can't be
Just
bothered.
stop.
Next thing was the Callisto Protocol. It's coming in 2022
This
from
look cool.
Striking Distance Studios, and Glenn Schofield is leading it, the creator of Dead Space. So, firstly, I'm all about this. If you know anything about me, love Dead Space. 2, this team was announced like a year or 2 ago.
Yeah,
And they
well,
were
the
like,
thing is,
hey, they're working on
they've
a
only
PUBG game. And I remember everyone at the time went, why are they working on a PUBG single player game? That sounds stupid. So then they announced this, and I still have not seen word anywhere of, did they do a bait and switch, or are they also working on a PUBG single player
they've
game?
only been.
This is the PUBG game. PUBG is getting an update.
Well, it was just because this is, as they said in the interview, that this was only a year in the making. So
It's 2022, so it's a while away. Probably late 2022.
and I don't think if it is aiming for 2022, I highly doubt it's a PUBG game because
No way it's a
That
PUBG
would-
game. It'd be fucking
Yeah.
weird. I just think it's either a bait and swerve, or they started work on it and then we're like, fuck that. That's actually a terrible idea. No one cares about PUBG anymore.
It fell through or
Yeah,
something.
and now they've started working on this. So, but either way, that's an interesting thing. The funny thing is though, so when this trailer started, I'm watching it the whole time going, is this Dead Space? And that's just because the guy had the thing on the back of his neck, like it looked like a health meter or something, which obviously is reminiscent of Isaac's health meter and all that sort of stuff built into the suit in Dead Space. So I'm watching this, I'm like, is this some weird like Dead Space thing? And I started getting really excited. And then when they showed the monster there at the end, I was like, oh, that doesn't look like any sort of alien monster that we've seen in Dead Space. It's not Dead Space. That's a bit disappointing. But then they get to the end and they announce the studio and who's working on it. And I'm like, wait, so it's not Dead Space, but it's the guy who created Dead Space. So that's why it all looked the same. It all makes sense now. So,
a lot of spiritual successes.
yes, there was weirdly, yeah. But yeah, I'm super excited. This was probably one of my most, the things I like the most from the show, even though it's a couple of years away. But it's been so long since I've had a horror game I could really get into. By the way, when he's like, we're going to make the scariest game ever, I saw a lot of people on Twitter pulling back. So he said that when they made Dead Space 1, like when they was doing press for that, he was like, we're making the scariest game ever. And then Dead Space came out, and a lot of people at the time were like, he kind of did. Like when Dead Space 1 came out, a lot of people were like, this is actually probably the reason that game reviewed so well. Is people were like, we haven't had a survival horror game this good since like Resident Evil 1. So last time he said it, he did it.
When and
It
did
was
it.
true.
When and did
He
it.
backed it up.
Fucking did it.
By the way, my funny thing is, so I own like Isaac Clarke statues and all this sort of stuff. Like I was obsessed with that franchise. Never played 3.
Well, isn't that a good thing? Because didn't 3 have the weirdest fucking ending?
I don't know. All
Like,
I know
I
is it
always
was
remember
co-op.
reading about the ending of 3. Have it been co-op? And then the ending of 3 was super weird and just kind of, it was just one of those franchises that ended up going a little bit batshit crazy with its writing, where like it just kind of kept going a little bit more and more off the
It just
hinges
makes me
each
laugh
time.
because it's like the third main entry in the last one in the franchise. Haven't touched it. However, I've played all the weird minigame spin-offs, the PlayStation Move game. I've watched both the animated film. You know, like I've literally devoured everything but the third entry in the franchise. And every now and
Maybe
then I
you
see
are
it pop
better
up
off for
somewhere
that.
and I'm like, oh, maybe one day. But I'm like, maybe it's just better not now. Maybe I got the Callisto Protocol coming now. So, by the way, I think that name might change. It's just a weird.
Definitely will change. I think it's just.
I think that's a work in progress. So, even though they didn't say that.
Hmm.
Next game was also very cool. Probably one of my favorite things that was announced. So, the next game from Fulbright, the developers of Gone Home and Tacoma, is a game called Open Roads. It's got this very bright,
this
beautiful
looks
art
so cool.
style.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's another, whatever you want to fucking call it, walking simulator, narrative adventure, whatever.
See, they changed it. It's a passenger simulator.
Passenger simulator. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's procedural.
It has a.
No, I think you might be thinking of the other one.
No, didn't it, this one say in the trailer that's procedural? I remember it being.
They didn't say anything in this one about the game. They just said it was. It's about this. It's about this mother-daughter who.
There is another road trip one further down.
So this is about a mother and a
Oh,
daughter.
it is the other one.
It's about a mother and a
Sorry,
daughter who've discovered their grandma's like diary or something like that, and it's got a key and it's got a bunch of notes about a life they didn't know about. So it seems that the game is this mother-daughter going on a road trip to discover about their grandma. It stars Kerry Russell and Caitlin Dever, however you say her name, who's most famous from Booksmart. Yeah.
Smart, yep. Unbelievable. Uncharted 4.
Is she Uncharted 4? Who?
Can't say.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, is she? Is she really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
That's kind of why everybody wants to play
Oh,
Ellie
okay.
in the TV series.
I did not know that.
She's got the Naughty Dog connections.
I just learned something. There you go. Anyway, so yeah, this looks really cool. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Gone Home. Tacoma I like, not as much, but Fulbright's all about it. Next thing was Disco Elysium, the final cut. So I'll finally play Disco Elysium as well. Okay.
I'm all about this. The only problem is March.
Hang on, wait.
What's out March?
It's March. No. But there's going to be like either Horizon's going to be March or something bigger is going to be March.
Make time. It's fine.
Otherwise, I'm all about this.
So Disco Elysium tried to play last year, and I kept struggling because I was just finding it like I was sitting at my computer reading a book because it's a lot of
It's a novel.
Yeah, it's a lot of text.
It's
like
dense.
not even
It's dense in text.
it is just the most text based thing. So one of the big updates, part of this, the final cut thing, is every character is now fully voice acted. There was some voice acting in the original from memory or something, like some slight amount.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Just like very
basic stuff.
yeah.
But now they said in the trailer every character are fully voice acted, which when you think about the amount of text that's in the game, the amount of reading you do,
That's a lot of talking.
it's a lot of fucking talking. It's like,
I mean, maybe it stretches the game out to be even longer than it
I
actually.
suppose you could just still like
It depends on
skip.
It depends on if like you how quick you used to read the text though. If you're a slow reader, then
Yeah.
I was fast, but even then it's just like it's a lot of text.
tiring.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
text. And then the other thing for this is there's a bunch of new missions they've added, and otherwise it's also coming to PlayStation, Xbox, Switch. If you currently own the game anywhere, GOG, Steam, wherever the fuck it is, you get an update to this file cut version for free, so that's cool. But yeah, I would probably end up trying to get it on PlayStation because I don't know. I kind of just because of the reading factor. I think it was maybe because it caused me to start leaning forward on my desk for whatever reason, and then you just like click. Whereas I feel like if I could like sort of relax with a controller in hand, like sit back, I don't know. The voice acting is going to change. I don't know. I was enjoying the game. Just there's a lot. There's a lot at that time. If you don't know Disco Elysium, by the way, in case you somehow missed it won Best Narrative last year at the Game Awards. And
I know. It won 4 awards last year, the most
Best
of anything.
Independent Studio, Best Indie Game, whatever else, like a whole bunch of stuff, wasn't it?
I think it might be like the second highest winning game ever.
It came out and won a bunch of stuff.
After Last of Us
And
Part
the
2.
only person at the Explosion Network who had played it was Nick. He was his game of the year. I think it's on his top 10 of all time, actually, so he loves the game. But in case you don't know what the game is, it's basically a detective adventure. Like you're kind of a washed up, drunk detective, and the game starts and there's someone being murdered. And it's not like old school point and click narrative where you got like super obtuse puzzles. There's some element of like obviously go to place, find something, do whatever. But most of the game is just sort of talking to people and clicking on right choices and just overall exploring the open world and making your choices, whatever. So, all right. Next thing was a trailer for whatever the next Dragon Age going to get called. Varric was here. He speaks in this trailer. I'm going to say it now, and we can talk about the one when we get to it. But my thoughts for BioWare and this whole thing is, I wish they had not had any trailers in this whole show because I do not like. Here's the thing: I'm excited for another Dragon Age. I'm excited for another Mass Effect, but I just think the fact that both these games are probably still years away, I'd find it hard to believe they're not. I just would have preferred them not to show these cinematic trailers that aren't really anything. You know, especially because Dragon Age, we've had like 2 now, I think, just these cinematic things with fucking Varric, even though he speaks in this one. But overall, I'm like, cool, I know you're making it. I really don't need another one of these trailers, personally.
I think the only thing for me is I think
it's just a solidified confidence after last week where There are a lot of people who left the BioWare.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, these were probably in the works for a long time.
We've known about this one since the last Game Awards, so.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think for this one and the other one you're speaking about, I think they should just package them together and play them both together as a set.
Probably.
As like a BioWare kind of like reinforcement of, hey, we're still working on stuff. Like we're still there for you.
I mean, does it instill you with confidence that the entire studio is working on 2 separate games?
No.
Well, the other one, yeah.
I mean, there's 3. They're set in 3 locations.
Mass Effect is a lot longer away than I think this game is.
Yeah, Dragon Age is first because Dragon Age we know has been in development longer. So,
like Mass Effect was like.
Let's not forget the fact that Anthem's supposed to be getting a big overhaul.
Oh God.
Right?
The Mass Effect one was almost like was them saying, "Hey, we're not giving up on Mass Effect in terms of sequels and stuff."
But honestly, unless you have your head in the gutter, just because Andromeda didn't do very well, in what world does a franchise that big just die after one badly received game?
The thing for them is it's the public perception of BioWare after Andromeda did so bad and then Anthem did so bad after it.
But do you think is the gaming population so dumb that their bad taste from Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda and whatever, is all of that just washed away by 2 fucking CGI trailers?
I don't think it, but I think for those people that are more on the worried side of things about what's happening, like about not worried, but like a bit more kind of pessimistic about it, these might just help a little bit. Be like, hey, they're coming.
Like, I was like, this would have been a cool trailer if it was the first time they've done one of these.
The thing is, so they haven't done like the other ones haven't been like proper ones with no like voice lines or anything.
Just the first one with a voice line, but it's still just the same thing with like it's just Varric.
It made me happy but that's the thing. It made me happy because it was Varric featured in the game. Like I don't know, even though that's like a staple that he's always in the games, it still just makes you feel nice and warm and wholesome.
I mean, I'd rather just like at this stage, let's not forget that Inquisition was such like a big change from Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age 2 was such a big change from Dragon Age 1. So, like, I know Varric's in the game. I know the story is probably going to be cool. I'm interested in it. But for me, I'm like, what kind of game is Dragon Age now? Like, is it more in line with Inquisition? Are we going back to, like, the original Dragon Age Origins? You know what I mean? Like, whereas Mass Effect has always had sort of the same gameplay style, I have more questions about the gameplay of Dragon Age than I do, like, its story. Next thing was Endless Dungeon. So I never heard this before, but apparently it's the spiritual successor to Dungeon of the Endless, and set in the same universe. Pretty cool trailer, cool music. Had this fucking like weeaboo fucking feel or some shit.
Can I say for this one, Jeff sounded so unexcited for this game and so disinterested when he like got out of it. Like he was like, "Well, that was cool," and moving right on. It was just like. It was just one of these where I was like, "Oh, you just."
I saw people say that on Twitter, and I was like, I wasn't paying enough attention, or
just Jeff buried that game.
It looked cool, art style, some dungeon crawler.
He was left speechless. That's what happened.
Maybe he just liked it that much.
He's just like couldn't find the words. Man. So moved.
That's how I felt about the next game, which was Crimson Desert.
These games have no right to have these trailers.
This trailer was 5 minutes 28 seconds, and it was the longest fucking thing I've put up with. Like
I was happy because I could watch the Disney investors meeting forever.
But let me say, look,
change my focus.
I hope this game comes out and is good because I hope all games come out and they're good, basically. But this was the longest trailer for something that did not look good, and by that I mean there was so much graphic pop in, and the frame rate was kind of absolutely cooked. That it was kind of one of those things where you're watching and you're like, are they aware of what this looks like when other people are watching it? You know, like you're watching the trailer and it's these epic fight scenes, but the frame rate is just so fucked. But I'm like, is this exciting to someone?
This is like an MMO, right?
Is it?
Yeah, like it's the same creators as Black Desert Online.
All right, okay. Yeah. But
So
that
I
doesn't
believe
that
this
doesn't
is an-
change
I
my
believe this-
criticisms. Though.
It doesn't change it, but I believe it is an MMO. And the trailers for like this studio and the trailers, like, because I remember the Black Desert trailer being batshit crazy and looking amazing, and the trailers always like look very different to what the game actually turns out to be.
I mean, this was 5.5 minutes. I feel like I have some idea what the the game is at this point. Surely it's fucking like basically like, hey, someone really liked The Witcher and Elder Scrolls, and they're like, let's do a fucking let's go about it. Let's do that. But look, it wasn't like at the start even. It has like they spend like 30 seconds, I think, showing just bird's eye view shots of pretty landscapes, and I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, they are pretty, I guess. And that was fine. And then they get to the characters and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like, you're not like they're talking, but I can't hear them. It looks like some epic shit's happening though. So like Game of Thrones Red Wedding level stuff's happening. Like it looks like. And then they get to the gameplay, and the gameplay is where I kind of was just lost a bit because I was like, it's just someone constantly tackling people, like just fucking spearing people. That's what the game.
Just stabbing people up
Yeah,
close.
I was like, I don't know. Obviously, by the sound of it, if you're listening to this, I was not blown away by this, and hopefully it gets fixed up. But the thing, I just couldn't get over the frame rate. I'm like, this is fucked. Like to watch this for several minutes, and someone go, it would have been all right if the gameplay was just a couple quick, like 20 seconds tops or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they purposely didn't include much because they know it looks a little bit under the weather. But the fact they have a couple minutes of the gameplay, and I was like, this is barely running at 20 something frames per second. Fucking weird. Anyway, Overcooked All You Can Eat. Swedish Chef showed up. Swedish Chef returned. Funny segment, I guess. Swedish Chef's now an Overcooked All You Can Eat. That's the PS5/Xbox.
Wow, I'd much
version.
prefer. Where's this Overcooked game coming? I much prefer to play that.
Did I say Overcooked?
You did say Overcooked the first
Change
time,
it.
and
Overcooked.
maybe that's just the new name for Cyberpunk or something.
Yeah.
Overcooked.
I look forward to newest character and Overcooked. All you can fuck. All right, so Swedish Chef, yeah, look, free character. And it's the first time I think they've done a crossover. I guess I don't know, cool. Warframe Unreal Tournament crossover. If you can now via the Epic Games Store claim free Unreal Tournament weapons using Warframe if you care about Warframe. This next game is one of my favorite things as well. Here's my thing. I was watching this trailer and I nearly tweeted at the time. I'm like, between the fact I'm not playing Cyberpunk and all the trailers I get most excited about during this are just fucking arty looking indie stuff, I'm like, am I a gamer anymore? You know, I'm just like, well, anyway. So season description for this is season a third-person atmospheric adventure bicycle road trip game. What a fucking sentence. Through the eyes of a young woman from a secluded community, explore the world for the first time, collect artifacts and memories before a mysterious cataclysm washes away the world. So this was a beautiful looking game. Probably one of the best looking things, I think, art style wise, I think, during the whole show. And I mean, it kind of just looks like a game where I'm sure there's great music. You wander around, got these cool characters, stunning art. You take pictures of shit. I don't know. I want to play it. I don't even know what the gameplay is really, other than you're probably taking photographs and stuff. But all about it. Anyone else like this?
I thought this looked really cool. I think I was really intrigued by the story, just like her narrative about like going through the different kind of levels of her ancestors, about how long they lived for, and then her just being like, "We've only got a season." It's like, holy fuck, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like I'm in for this game. It seems really interesting.
It's like some weird anime plot, nearly like Weathering a View or fucking.
Yeah, there's definitely some anime, especially riding that bike.
Yes, that bike shot was super.
Definitely.
Anime.
It's like, I've seen this several times before. Studio Ghibli's animated wonders. We released this year.
That was great. That's coming to PS5, so another cool play. PlayStation has a lot of really vibrant indie stuff upcoming. Between like we're still waiting for like Volcano High and all that sort of stuff, but
Where's that?
I don't know.
Isn't Volcano High Xbox?
No.
It was
I
in
thought
the
Volcano
PlayStation.
High
It was in the
Xbox for some
PlayStation.
reason.
No.
What was it? I
showcase
get the
thing.
two confused. That's fine.
Next,
You get Xbox and PlayStation confused.
No. I got which of like the indie game showed up at which of the showcases.
come on.
Okay.
Next thing.
This is fucked. This one was the like I literally almost ruined my PC keyboard with this fucking trailer. Because you know what? When this first showed up, I thought it was Horizon, and then he showed up, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
So I thought this was like Turok, and I think that's what other people did because I was watching it and I'm like, okay, Vin Diesel, that's weird, but also Vin Diesel has always been a big video game guy. Like he's appeared in a lot of games. He has his own video game company, I believe, if that's still around. Like
the fan favorite Stuntman game.
Yes, well, yeah, he did that, but also he's in one of the best movie adaptation things ever, which is actually Chronicles of Riddick.
Butcher Bay.
Butcher Bay, yeah.
In fact, Butcher Bay was amazing.
Yes.
Like that was absolutely amazing.
So he gets points where they're due and, loses them for some things. But I thought this was maybe him, like, buying Turok or some weird thing and be like, I'm going to star in a Turok game. And I was like, sure, whatever. Anyway, it's Arc 2.
It's very much Arc 2. As soon as they showed the little things on his wrist, I was like, oh, it's Arc. Okay. Where did they... Wow. Okay, Arc's
Isn't that a survival game in which you play as like a random player?
Yep. It is definitely very much a
So
survival
here's the
game.
thing. Arc, for people like us who don't play it, maybe like, oh, Arc. That's a thing I hear about sometimes. Arc is super fucking popular. And I think they've filled their pockets.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think they've filled their pockets quite well. And they've decided to spend a lot of money on Arc 2. And also the thing that was announced after this, which is an animated series coming, which has a mega list of celebrity voice actors, including, who have I got here? So, Jared Butler, David Tennant, Elliot Page, Malcolm McDowell, Michelle Yeoh, Jeffrey Wright, Carl Urban, Russell Crowe, and of course Vin Diesel on that animated series. And I mean, the animated series looked kind of cool in the short clip they showed, but I don't care for the franchise, but Arc's blown up for people like Rocker Mummy who care about it,
Yeah.
It's the only person I know and follow I know cares about Arc, so.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird one. Are you playing as Vin Diesel, or is it he a character in the world?
He's a character in the world. I would assume.
I'm guessing it's going to be...
He's an NPC?
I'm guessing he's going to be the linking thing between the game and the animated series. So there's like some kind of linking factor between the two of them. Because as far as I remember, there's not much of a story to Arc 1. Like, I know other games like The Forest very much have a story to them and stuff to investigate. I can't remember that being the same for Arc, but maybe that's changed over the years since I played it.
So it was a weird one, but...
I know. There were a lot of good tweets.
So, yeah. Well, I love it anytime Vin Diesel shows up because I have like a select... Obviously, there's a big group of people I follow who are Fast and Furious mega fans.
Fast and Furious fans.
Anytime Vin Diesel shows up, they're just straight on to like... Fuck yeah. Like, even like Joey Noel was like on my timeline, like being like, I hope he sings a theme song. Like, like, so I've got like the ultra positive spectrum, and then I'll see a couple people who are like, ugh. You know what I mean? But for the most part, my Twitter is like, yeah, fuck yeah. For the most part, my Twitter is just like, I don't care what this game is. Fuck yeah.
The two things were, not only did it go fucking hell, Vin Diesel's in another video game as the main character, but also just reminded me of the shit show that was the end of last year's video game awards.
If you want to compare this year to last year, I think last year kind of takes the L. Because that game did not turn out too well.
Oh, didn't it? No, I thought your stream of the whole thing went so well.
No? Okay. Well, Vin Diesel gets to live his dream in this. He gets to look exactly like The Rock, so.
There you go.
That he does.
There you got it. Next thing was Fall Guys Season 3 trailer. Of course, it's going to Winter Wonderland now. A whole bunch of 7 new levels, 30 new costumes, a whole bunch of other stuff's being added. I haven't played any of Season 2.
No, I didn't. I was still like, is Season 2 out yet?
Yeah.
It is. I played a little bit. It's fine.
I'm kind of more into this because...
There's a lot of, grabbing stuff.
Yeah, like
pulling yourself up. And that
Season
kind of
2
stuff.
just looked like tweaks of the original maps or like new versions of them. Whereas this one, because it's all like winter and stuff now, it looks potentially like it could be completely new, or hopefully some more completely new stuff. Plus, I can run around in a penguin outfit and call myself Bevan. So, shout outs.
Wow,
Shout outs.
What the
Anyone who
fuck?
remembers that.
Did Bevan just get mentioned on what the fuck? He's out of exile.
It's been a while.
Coming soon.
So, yeah, that's coming out December 15th to, of course, wherever you play Fall Guys. Elite Dangerous Odyssey got a trailer. This has already been announced a couple of months ago during like the Xbox thing or something like that, I think is when I remember seeing it. None of us care about Elite Dangerous, so it's probably did nothing. It has David Bowie in it though, so that's cool.
It just makes me laugh that Elite Dangerous is doing Star Citizen before Star Citizen could do it.
Elite Dangerous has slowly just been doing nearly everything
Like,
Star Citizen's doing, just not as graphically or as powerful or whatever that one game wants to do.
Yeah, or as ambitious.
Or for as much money.
But at least Elite
correct.
Dangerous every year is like, here's a new update, here's a new thing, here's like something else.
We're adding more
We're adding
stuff.
more
Here's
stuff,
this
yeah.
thing. Like, it's so cool that this isn't just
It's
like
playable.
It's playable.
Like,
yeah.
also it's playable, but also they're like, hey, like, it's not just okay, at first when it comes out, it'll be separate and then we're going to merge the two. It's just going to be like, no, the two are going to be merged seamlessly together. Yeah. So it's like, fuck it.
Cool. Yeah, I don't care about the game, but every time I see them do stuff, I'm like, good job for people who play that. Next thing was Evil Dead the game. Ash is finally getting his own game after having been pushed to just being a character in
About time
Dead
I
by
did.
Daylight. Yes. So I'm pretty hyped for this. I love the Evil Dead franchise. So like there was that point like quickly in the start trailer where they have the whoosh through the woods. I'm like, oh shit, it's Evil Dead like straight away. And then I was like, wow, they're going like full in with this. They're just like, this is dude with like night outfit, and then when Ash finally comes out or whatever, it's like, okay, so we're just gonna have old periods of Evil Dead just cross over, I guess, and you can just play as whoever you want. And it says it's co-op or PvP or a combination of both, so I don't really know how it goes. Hopefully it's not as janky as like fucking Friday 13th or anything like that, obviously, but it looked pretty cool in the trailer. I don't exactly know what you're doing, is I guess other thing. I'm like, what's the what's the ultimate goal? Is it just to kill things or survive or whatever? But look, if
I hope it's like the Friday the 13th games. It looks like it's like
Probably,
the same.
well,
It
I
probably
think
won't be the same, but
it would technically be more like the Predator game.
yeah, probably Predator Hunting Grounds.
And then with a deathmatch mode, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they try and do their own full thing or whatever. But look, if you can play as Ash and Bruce Campbell, according to that, sounds like he's voicing Ash.
It sounds
so
like
if Bruce Campbell is playing Ash and I can just run around and hear him saying ridiculous one-liners as I shoot people and be like, boom, headshot and all this sort of shit, I'm down. All about that. Love that. Next thing was Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. So if you want to rage and throw your fucking Nintendo Switch across the room, because Ghosts and Goblins, in case you don't know, is often considered to be one of the hardest games of all time, where people struggle to even beat like the second screen of the first level because you just have like 3 lives or whatever, and it's ridiculous. So this is a remake, I guess, or something like that. And then they're also releasing, as part of the Capcom Arcade Collection, the original game alongside 31 other titles. So the Capcom Arcade Stadium will be coming to Switch in February. It'll come with one free game, 1943, The Battle of Midway, and then additional games will cost money. Microsoft Flight Simulator is finally coming to Xbox Series XS in the middle of next year at some point. So that's cool that we finally have a release date on the horizon for that. I'm pretty keen to play that on my Xbox because as much as I was like kind of getting into it on PC, I'm hoping that the Xbox version will kind of dumb down a lot of it, and then I'll be more likely to get into it. You know what I mean? Like, I know you could use a controller on PC, but even if you used a controller, you would still need to use some keyboard controls. It would be like, okay, so this does this, this, and this, but you would still every now and then need to reach over to your keyboard. No different than obviously if you're playing with a whatever you call the airplane thing that Nick has, like the whatever joystick. You'd still sometimes need to reach over and press buttons on your keyboard or whatever. So
Throttle Master.
yeah, that shit. So I'm hoping when it comes to Xbox, because it has to be solely on the controller, that some of it will be a lot onboarded and simpler to get into. Yeah, that's cool though.
No, you'll have to do voice commands.
Look, don't.
Xbox.
No, don't.
Throttle.
Xbox throttle. Wow.
Xbox Destination to Shepperton.
Wow. Yeah, I still got to do that. I just need to
One day.
on the
Shepperton.
list. Brand new look at Returnal was shown off. Release date March 19th, 2021. This is, of course, Housemarque's next game. Weird trailer. I mean, the original one we got was kind of weird, but this one, because it starts with her like trying to open a door or whatever, and then she's back into the spaceship weird fucking world or whatever this is. I mean, this is like a roguelite of some sort, obviously, because we've known that since the first one. Where she talks about doing the same thing over and over and over. But
it's Housemarque.
It's Housemarque, yeah. So it's like they're kind of taking the arcade-ish gameplay and then they've turned it into a
put it in
three dimensions. That's kind of the way I think about this. Even some of the monster designs and stuff look like shit you'd actually see in Resogun. Or,
even obviously the shooting rays and
like there was another second here where something just shot out a million bullets everywhere. I'm like, okay, well, if this was on a top-down that was a top-down shooter, you would be like, okay, this feels like it's at home. But really cool. So I'm gonna be keen to play that one when it comes to PlayStation, of course. What's it say? March. Super Meat Boy Forever got a release date. It's coming out December 23rd. I think this is coming to nearly everything or whatever. I kind of want to play it because I really enjoy Super Meat Boy, but then I could never finish the first one. But also, it is enjoyable to play to a degree. I don't like, and obviously it's got like cool character design and whatever else. I don't know. The game's too hard. it's cool, but just too hard. I can't. Next thing was Way Out developer, of course, old mate. Joseph Ferris showed up in a mocap suit to show off the latest trailer for It Takes Two, which we had seen before actually during the pseudo E3 period in the middle of the year when they first announced this.
Was it at the live in opening night live?
I thought it was E3. I thought it was just EA's event during the E3 period.
Oh yeah,
because they showed off this plus a couple of the two other like indie ones, part of the EA's indie thing. It wasn't as lengthy as this, obviously, though. But yeah,
I mean, let's face it. Jeff Ferris is set for life, pretty much. He'll be invited to every single Game Awards he wants to show up.
He's like second to Hideo Kojima at this point. So,
I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, I think he's probably appeared more than Hideo at this point.
I think this looks really cool. So obviously, what's his studio called? Hazelight Studios, right? So they're sticking to their guns. Like, obviously, they're like, we're going to continue making what everyone kind of liked so much about A Way Out, which was like, that game was fun with the whole prison escape and all that sort of stuff. But the reason that game stuck with a lot of people was because it did such a unique and interesting thing with co-op that you hadn't really seen done before. So they're continuing that with It Takes Two. However, they're completely left fielding it away from the whole prison gritty drama and going to this sort of comedic adventure game where you're playing as two characters who are turned into like Christmas toppers, and then you're going in some sort of weird and...
So it's a couple who are having relationship problems who are forced by some sort of spell to be clay puppet things.
Throughout a whole bunch of different wacky worlds and levels, and
they were jumping on frogs. There was all sorts of crazy stuff going on,
and it's all co-op, so much like A Way Out. And obviously, you got the themes of the couple having relationship problems. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of can you work together with your partner in real life and all that sort of stuff. They'll play into the themes of the game. The other cool thing about this is they did announce during this that it's going to have the friend pass like A Way Out did. So you only need one person to buy it, and then you can share it with someone else, and they can play for free. So
are they going to fix the trophy thing?
Yeah, that was some fucking shit, wasn't it? You had to buy the game to get the trophies, though, didn't you, Joseph? You fucking come and fix it. This looks really cool, though. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed the humor in the game.
It's weird how funny it actually looks, considering A Way Out was. It had its funny moments, but
it was amusing.
It was more serious, obviously.
Yeah.
Cool art style, completely different art style again to A Way Out. So I don't know. It's kind of cool that he didn't like. Obviously, it has that theme of co-op, but other than that, it's cool how they didn't try and do something.
They could have just done another
like or criminal related or crime related. You know what I mean? Like, you could have been as a cop or some shit now. They could have done something in the same field, but the fact that they've just completely gone for something else just shows that obviously a lot of range within that studio, so that's cool. So then we got a trailer for Monster Hunter Rise. They announced the demo's coming to Nintendo Switch store in January, so that's cool. This is the one Monster Hunter game I'm kind of maybe interested in. I don't know. Evil West was announced, so this is a game you can play solo co-op. It's a dark fantasy set in the weird Wild West. You play as vampire hunter Jesse Rentier. The game's coming out in 2021. I was a big fan of this trailer. Cool concepts, like themes or whatever, but just the whole trailer of someone walking towards the camera, shooting some vampires, whatever, demons off to the side. Cool. Yes, I didn't get super excited. Scarlet Nexus got a story trailer. So they announced that you'll either play as two characters who I won't try and pronounce, Yuto or Kasan, and it's going to have a dual perspective story. So presumably, I guess you can play through as one character's story path first, and then you play through the second time to see where the other character goes. And I guess they may overlap those characters, the one you're not playing as, I guess, as you're playing the story or whatever. So Scarlet Nexus continues to look pretty cool, though, as a new IP, new franchise. It's like, again, every time I see it, I'm like, this game looks super anime, but also I just appreciate the dark horror-ish element to the monsters and stuff in the game. Kind of about it. So that's coming mid next year. By the way, anytime I say mid or early or whatever, it's because they put a release date there and they're like, winter.
They say summer.
And I just go Google
summer.
Yeah, summer. So I'm like, American summer is when in Australia? Like, whatever. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that kind of annoys me about game trailers is always just the American, like summer, winter. And I'm like, when's that in my world?
Yeah.
Among Us.
There's a whole nother hemisphere down here that's got a completely
disturbing. Among Us got a new trailer, so the new map is coming early 2021. The map is called...
I really appreciate you talking about this, Dylan, because we all know you hate Among Us so much with the deep passion. So, yeah. New airship. Ciaran, you'll be keen to axe us around people in this new airship?
Yes, I will. It looks really cool, actually. I really like the art style. I like that they're not just... It's not just like a new map. It's got new kind of functionality and new features to it, as well as like new kind of elements to the game, which I hope are getting added to the other maps. Like in this one, like being able to select where you go, where you start after a meeting.
That could be like a game changer.
Yeah, instead of having everybody starting in the same areas, that's really cool. Just to kind of change that up a little bit. So that'll be interesting to see how that affects the flow of the game. But I think overall, it's really fun and they've added everything. Who'd thought adding a ladder would be a game changer for a map?
Change. Platforms. You're going to be able to sabotage platforms. People are going to be stuck like on that platform in the middle. It's going to be great. Maybe we'll be able to convince Kid Dylan to play it. I know. Overcoming
this is
bias,
a bad meme
kind of
because you're like, let's play the game, and I'm either at work or I'm like, I don't know, I gotta write this fucking review or play this other fucking game. Jesus Christ. It's a bad meme.
Always an excuse.
One day when we see you play it, the meme will die.
Yeah.
Fucking...
You know how to kill it quicker.
Oh, dear. Fortnite then got a bunch of trailers and reveals, as was kind of expecting. So, firstly, Master Chef, I nearly said. There you go. Big fan. Master Chief is was out now in Fortnite. Cool trailer. He was frozen in ice. That's a throwback back to, I think,
He was in the freezer.
That's from the last game or whatever.
From the first one and the last one.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Big fan. So he's in the game now, and then I'm gonna order these in like least shocking to most shocking. So Master Chief, I was like, not that huge of a deal because God of War Kratos just showed up, and I was like, that is kind of crazy that Kratos and fucking Master Chief are in a game together. But cool. So the last one, they're like Michelle and Daryl from AMC's The Walking Dead. Like to clarify which universe they're from. They're in the game now. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess that's a thing. That's still a game, a TV show that exists that people watch. But the one that had me laughing and going, wow, what a fucking callback to when I was like fucking 14 years old or whatever, was the fact that they've added Rooster Teeth's Red vs. Blue.
Red vs. Blue. What a fucking... How good? How good is that? Not only Red vs. Blue, if you don't know, it's got Red vs. Blue 0 is currently airing. But no,
it's not as good now.
Is that a prequel series?
No, what is,
No, it's about a character called Zero.
it's so for people who don't know, Red versus Blue back in the day was literally like they were using the game to make
It's like OG Machinima.
Yeah, OG Machinima stuff. And that's how like what kickstarted Bruce's Teeth. That was like the biggest like the hit that
Machinima, the art style, not Machinima.
yes, like
Correct, yeah. Well, the art style kicked off the company.
Yeah. Well, it's like Machinima, like the idea of taking games and making like stuff from other games anyway. But yeah, like the original Red versus Blue was literally them just making it in their like room, and Jeff and whoever else doing voices and whatever else. So the fact that that's now part of Fortnite, I figure, I don't know, it's one of those weird things where
anything is possible.
I don't know, like obviously I know Rooster Teeth is a big thing and it has been for a very long time, but seeing Red versus Blue again kind of just made me think back to the fact where they came from, and I was like, wow, it's kind of crazy that thing that they were making in their spare room is now part of the biggest game.
Is part of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's
Media.
like so weird. I don't know, just putting it like into that perspective outside of like how big they are as a company now. But yeah, so that was the one that shocked me the most. That was like, wow, fucking Red versus Blue. Hey, that's something. Fortnite creative, Master Chief, Shane Darrell, cool. Fortnite is ridiculous, as was talking about the other week.
Can I appreciate the fact that in the trailer they make a jab out of the fact that Blood Gulch has been like renamed like several different times, but they actually went and called it Blood Gulch in the trailer name.
Did they?
Like I was thought they were just avoiding that completely, but yeah, no, makes me funny.
Oh, hilarious.
So I've seen someone, I've turned on a PlayStation today, but I saw someone on Twitter post before, like on their PS5 under the like Watch New tab or whatever it's called, like the news thing. It had like a splash page of Fortnite with Master Chief there, and they're like, how fucking weird is it that they turned on my PlayStation 5 and it's like Master Chief front and center there. I've seen people on Twitter also being like, yes, they had like Kratos inside whatever the buggy things in Halo are called, driving around in one of those. What are those things called? The little June buggies and Halo? Warthog, yes. So they had Kratos inside a Warthog, and then I saw Master Chief with Kratos' shield, and then someone else's like fucking, and the axe or whatever. I was like, this is fucking, it's whack. It's weird.
And they all got killed by Wolverine.
Yeah,
Look, Fortnite is becoming something that is just unheard of and monstrosity, and we probably need to stop it because I have a feeling Fortnite's going to turn into Cybernet. And
they said they're not
Skynet
done. I saw
even,
someone on Twitter actually
I think
tweet, they're like, people have not realized that Fortnite is basically Ready Player One at this point. And I'm like,
yeah,
you're right. Like, you're right.
This is the Oasis.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's so funny. Like, I gotta be honest. So I would not play the game by myself because I just probably wouldn't have fun. Well, when me and Ash were playing, I'm like, I'd probably keep playing this like with someone, just shit talking at the same time or whatever. But I think a lot of the fact is also now that it has a bunch of characters, I was just constantly like, now with fucking Kratos and everyone running around, and I brought the Mando season pass, so I've got that or whatever else. I'm like, this game isn't just Fortnite anymore. It's play as your favorite licensed character in a battle royale. The game, it's a fucking weird game. Cool though. Good job Fortnite. Then there was an Xbox Game Pass mega thing. The things I took note of was Yakuza Collection is coming to Xbox Game Pass. So that's cool. And then Elder Scrolls Skyrim is on Game Pass because it has to be on everything. So that's worth noting there. But the Yakuza Collection, I think, was a standout one there. So obviously continuing that, I guess, collaboration between they've obviously had a great success with Like a Dragon being first on Xbox Series X or whatever. And then here's the rest of the Yakuza Collection or whatever. So here you go. And then the last thing was, of course, as we were talking about before, teasing it, they ended the show. The last trailer was for the next
Mass Effect will continue.
The game.com. Look, let me put it this way. I care more about Mass Effect than I do Dragon Age. And when we got to the end of the trailer, even I, as someone who owns 2 Liara statues, was like, "Ooh, Liara." And I was like, got slightly excited. But then the, I don't know, grumpy old man Dylan Curmudgeon or whatever inside was also like, man, I kind of wish they hadn't have done this. Because, like, it was that brief second of Liara, and also that looks like Grunt in the background and possibly other people, I don't know. Maybe there are other characters returning from the franchise, but like it was just such a brief glimmer of nostalgia or whatever you want to call it, of a callback to characters from the original 3 games, obviously. And all this trailer does, really, all this trailer does is go, hey, remember how we started Andromeda and we were basically moving so far away from the Mass Effect connected franchise, or like where the first 3 games took place, we're doing this whole new thing now. This trailer just goes, we're coming back to that. We're coming back to N7. We're coming back to Liara.
Yes.
Maybe Master Chief. Maybe Shepard's. Maybe Shepard is still alive. I don't know, but
no way. No, I'd be so angry if he was still alive.
But I mean,
I'd actually be so angry.
You got to go with like what the fact that I don't know. It depends on what ending you get in 3, and then all this other source. But I mean, the fact that they're showing certain characters here, the fact they purposely, obviously, Liara picks up this. But, well, I'm assuming it's Liara. I don't think it looks fucking like Liara to me. It'd be weird if it was someone else. The fact that she picks up this N7 thing makes it look like they're looking possibly at the wreckage of a ship or something maybe there that's covered in snow, which, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, like, this game's still years away. And now I'm just like, cool, Liara's alive. Is anyone else? Looks like, I don't know who the fuck else is in the background there. I could only assume it's like fucking Grunt and someone else. One looks like whatever you call his species. I can't remember the name of his species, but I know who the other ones are. The other one could be, one of them looks like an alien, the Doctor dude. I can't remember his name. But in Mass Effect 3, he died for me, so I doubt it's him. Because my canon says he's dead. So, rip. How do you feel about this, Ken?
I don't know. Maybe I'll feel more excited once I play the remastered trilogy again, because it's been a very
Why wasn't there a trailer for that? Have we had a trailer for that?
Yeah, we've already had one.
7 day last week or whatever.
Yeah, we already had one.
Okay.
Like it's just one of those things where I'm like, I haven't played it in so long. I still like know deep down that I love that franchise like with a burning passion. I think it has one of the best on-flowing choice systems like ever. Like just how like the choices affect between games, and even some choices from the first game affect something in the third game, is kind of, yeah, I've always been in awe of that. But at the same time, Andromeda was Andromeda. BioWare's been weird. Like BioWare for me it doesn't feel like BioWare anymore. I don't know if that's really a thing to say, but for me personally, it doesn't uphold the same kind of reverence or respect.
It lost all its goodwill.
Yeah, like it's just
like some other studios may have recently.
I don't think that. No, not the case. But probably. But yeah, it's just a case of I will definitely be there day one picking up. I'll definitely be loving it. I'm excited for the remaster. It's just
So
see what they do with it when it eventually comes out 3 to 4 years time.
Since it's been so long since I played 3, I was like, I just quickly Googled Mass Effect, see what other people's news stories had up. And like, a bunch of them are saying Liara. So I feel like everyone's on the same page there. But like,
I feel like it would be weird if it wasn't Liara. Like they had the other one. Who was the other? There was the different one that popped up in Mass Effect 2 or 3?
No, it's the face dots or whatever you want to call them that makes it look like Liara.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. But it would be weird if it was anybody other than Liara.
But this PC Gamer article says, and if it is Liara, would that mean that the next Mass Effect game is a continuation of the original trilogy, which also mean it's not picking up the story that began in Andromeda, and it would also make one of Mass Effect 3 endings canon, since Liara doesn't have the green markings of the Synthesis ending, that sure looks like a dead Reaper. Is this suggesting the Destroyer ending will be canon? ? To which I go, I can't remember what the fuck the different endings are for Mass Effect at all. So, by the way, the description of the video...
it's probably just going to piss more people off by being like, hey, by the way, this ending was the canon.
Well, they're going to have to pick one if it's a continuation of 3 now. They have to pick a canon one.
Well, that's the thing, though. They've never had
Could be a prequel.
They've never had to do that before. It's not a prequel. There's no way it's a prequel.
It could be set between some of the games.
No, because there's no time. There's not that.
Alternate universe.
Yeah, what?
The only thing that there would be cool is if they set something in between Mass Effect 1 and 2, but at the same time that would make very little to no
it
sense.
wouldn't work because people's like, why would these characters be over in different places that
Well, actually, no. If Grunt is one of the people we see, it would make no sense because Grunt doesn't
show up until so
he isn't born or birthed or created until that point. It definitely has to be the next installment of that story. It's just
so they have to pick a
Mass
canon
Effect.
ending.
The thing is, though, Mass Effect has never had to pick a canon ending.
No, because they always had the ending.
Except for its written books. So I haven't really looked too much in the novels or the comic books.
Okay, well, I've read one or two of the books, and both of them were about. It's been so long. I used to be so deep into the friend. What was the main character? The smoking man, whatever the fuck.
Shepard.
No, the bad guy.
No.
The bad guy.
The bad guy. I can't remember his name.
It's so funny because I was so
deep.
deep into the franchise at one stage that I was reading the books and everything, but yeah, I mean, it lost me as well as many other people. So it's like so. Anyway, all of those were just completely separate to any of the main characters that you would play in the game, so you never really had to worry about them like making mistakes or anything like that. So, but yeah, if it's a continuation, it means I have to pick an ending, which is hilarious when you think about the fact that they had an ending or two endings or whatever it was. People hated all of them. Then they did it. They did the third ending to make everyone happy. And now after all of that, the fact that they're going to have to pick a canon one is slightly comedic. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah. So I never, because I never went back and played the update because, I don't know, Shepard died at the end. There was some fucking weird ending. I was like, cool, I don't really understand this ending. There's a weird child, but whatever. I don't understand movies. Sometimes I watch them and I go, that's art. If I don't get it, I don't get it. It made me think about it. It made me discuss with my friends at the time and whatever else. But yeah, the fact people got real shitty about it. I think I've said this many times before. I hate the fact that they went and changed the ending just because.
Yes, very much so. I think we had this discussion not too long ago, actually.
So, anyway, find out more. The description of the video does say a veteran team is in early works on the next Mass Effect game. So, anyway, so that was all of the trailers from the Game Awards. Now, you may be wondering who won our predictions. Now, I've updated our article. I don't know if you was looking at that, Ash, if you looked at the update article. So I don't know, unless I've done some maths wrong, which I hope I haven't, because I was literally just updating the scores next to every single thing as I went along. So I had a running tally. You can go from top of the article to the bottom to see everyone's scores. It was getting towards like nearly the end of the winners, and I was like, wow, Ciaran's got this thing in the bag. Like, there's a stage here. So if I scroll down, where just before we get to the esports stuff, where he kind of falls apart. So at content creator of the year, I'm on 12 points. Ash is on 13 points. Ciaran's on 16 points at this point. Like, he's got quite a lead here. And then we get to the esports stuff, and me and Ash kind of make a comeback.
You pick up the you make the comeback. You pick up the.
After some deliberation, the final scores are in last place.
Is this just
No.
like the?
This is everything.
Is this everything?
This is everything.
Well, you know what we predicted. None of us did particularly well.
No. Okay. Cool.
Well, hold on. Let me run down the predictions again for everyone playing at home. So Ciaran predicted. Where are we? Ciaran predicted a full cinematic Elden Ring trailer, Bayonetta 3 trailer, Gotham Knights trailer, Silent Hill exclusive for PlayStation, Breath of the Wild 2 trailer. So you got 0 points. Ash predicted God of War 2, no trailer. Marvel Spider-Man 2, no trailer. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, no trailer. Platinum Games logo comes up. It's Babylon's Fall, no trailer. At least 6 new IP games from third-party publishers. There was not 6 by my count from third-party.
No, I think a lot of stuff that had been announced previously, or it was like, that's fine.
Yeah. I predicted Hideo Kojima nonsense trailer. Nobody know. The initiative reveals their quadruple A game with 10 of 2021 release date. I gave myself half a point.
There's no release date.
under our like multi-tiered system, I was giving myself 0.5.
I guess you did get the quadruple A. You did
Yes.
get the quadruple A
They
part of it.
Well, is it quadruple A though?
Well, they've always been talking about triple. They revealed their game, so I got half a point. Like,
yeah, that's fine.
Warner Brothers shows their Hogwarts Legacy. No. Last of Us Factions. No. Final Fantasy VII Remake Special Edition. No. So out of all our predictions, I got half a point.
Wait, if you win by half a point, I'm gonna be. If you beat me by half a point, I'm gonna be so
in
sad.
last place is Ciaran with 17 points. In second place is myself with 17.5 points.
I fucking hate this game. This is so shit.
And in
What
first
is this
place
bullshit?
is Ash with 18 points.
Couldn't they have just liked Hades a little bit more?
It was very close.
It was so
close.
close.
Oh, I feel like I didn't even do bad this time.
No, that's just the thing. I was very surprised how close our scores were. Like,
Listen,
it's so tilty.
like there's obviously 30 categories.
Yeah.
Man, I'm building a
So-
time machine to go back
I
to
feel
time
like
and tell myself
I
to
feel like
vote
all
League of
three of us did
Legends.
pretty well this year overall. Apart from
I think
our
better than the previous.
predictions of reveals, which we never do good at all.
We never do well.
No,
we just
no.
expect
Yeah.
too much.
We just aimed the bar too high. And like, I'm surprised none of them they got met. But
But to
you
be
know,
fair,
whatever.
How on earth did Elden Ring not happen?
That's the thing.
If you predicted one outlandish thing like Elden Ring and then like predicted 4 very safe things, it'd be a very boring predictions podcast. You know,
That's
it's like
also true.
I don't even know if you could predict
I don't know.
safe things this year.
I feel like I could have gone like,
I think
Or you-
Smash, that would have
Yeah.
been the only thing that was like a
Among Us
given.
gets a new trailer, Fall Guys. Like if you thought about it,
Those have been announced.
not
though.
when we did our podcast, I don't think. So there was some stuff
Okay.
you probably could have rolled dice at, and got, but not as exciting. Anyway, so that's the Ash walks away with the trophy once again this year. Ciaran gets the award for most improved though. I get, you know, like
Oh,
Yeah, it was closer. So what's Ciaran playing this year?
nothing. We didn't say anything. I'm not doing it.
not doing it. Okay, sure.
How
How long have we recorded? An hour and a half? I don't know. Do you want to give your Cyberpunk thoughts?
we can do. I don't mind either way.
Go for it. So it's you've how much of Cyberpunk have you played, Ciaran? Let's set the table.
I am about 15 hours in, according to my in-game clock. I think Steam says 17, but I think my PC was just paused for a couple hours there. But yeah, 15 is what my save file says currently.
And
man,
how's
I'm
it living up to the hype?
I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely still got its bugs. It's definitely still kind of, a bit all over the place. I think the writing of this game is fantastic, in my opinion, for a lot of the side missions. I haven't dove that far into the main story, honestly. I've been doing a lot of the side quests, and I think there's been some really interesting philosophical conversations and deep conversations that I really do enjoy generally in video games. I think overall the normal combat, like the guns actually feel okay. Like they feel pretty good. I'm eternally swapping guns though at the moment. Like I've never really kind of stuck with anything. So at the minute, like the crafting system feels a bit pointless, and like the upgrading and everything seems a little bit pointless. But clothing's fun. Generally the game is really, like, in my opinion, I really am enjoying the game, and I think it's very ambitious and in many ways. I know it's very much got its problems. There's very much everybody has its problems with the game currently. I think anybody who's currently complaining about its the graphics and everything, or how it's running on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, I'm like, what did you expect?
Then why sell it on those?
I'm going to follow
because
Ashley. If you're selling something and it's running not just like it's not running like it doesn't look as good as PC, it's running you badly on the platform, and they're charging $100 for it. Like it's not that it doesn't look as good as PC. That would be fine. People would accept that. It's the fact that it's running like it's unacceptably buggy and a mess on base consoles.
Is it running that badly on? So I haven't really looked too far into it because I've been kind of focused on just playing it.
On base PS4 and base Xbox, it is apparently running.
I think that's their.
They shouldn't have sold it. They're charging $100.
No, but there's no way. But there's no way to say.
There's no way for them to
lock it off
tell?
from
That's what they do.
There's
testing.
no, but there's no way to lock it off from those versions. Like, if is it running okay on the Pros and the Series X?
It's running better on PS5s, but it's still apparently a buggy mess. But I think that's the.
But I mean, like, is it running on like instead of like the base models of the PS4? Is it on the PS4 Pro? Is it?
I don't know. All I've seen is comparisons between PS5 and base PS.
Because I think we all said it beforehand. There's no way that game's running that.
Oh, I know, and I agree, and I just think that this is a weird problem, but it's still. I think people who own a console and pay $100 for a game have the right to be like, this is unacceptable.
Is that the case for PC gamers then, who have the same thing every time?
What do you mean?
If your PC isn't meeting the specs of
that's different.
No, because they tell you exactly.
Different. Like if console.
I mean, CD Projekt Red totally could have put on the back of the box, don't play this on a PS4 base model.
Even then, I wouldn't.
They don't say that
console.
They don't say
even
that
then, it wouldn't have looked good.
They don't say that on PC though.
If you buy a PC game off Steam, or even if you buy a PC game in JB Hi-Fi, the back of the box says minimum requirements to play this game. Here's what CPU, here's what GPU you need. If you're a console gamer, you expect you can buy a disc, put it in, and that's the benefit of console gaming. And if it doesn't work, people have the right to be upset.
I actually think that's more of a problem for console gaming in general now that we're running across so many systems.
That is a problem.
And should be a pivoting point for the whole console ecosystem.
But remember, this game was originally meant to come out in January, well before the next gen consoles.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
There's not much I can do to defend it. Me personally, it's just
because you can always view it from
the players should be more informed. But
even then, I'll say like it's easier for us who are informed to record a podcast every week and listen to podcasts and whatever. We're in it. But how about just Joe Schmo gamer who just basically plays cool things that their friends say is cool or whatever? They walk into JB Hi-Fi, they're like, Cyberpunk has Keanu Reeves, this looks cool. They're not like, they don't read and listen to IGN all day or whatever. They pick it up, they go home, they just have a base PS4 because they were quite happy with it. They don't care about a PS5 yet. They put it in, it runs like shit, and they're like, what the fuck? Like, how's it their fault?
That problem's but the thing is though, it isn't their fault, but it's going to be a problem that I'm sure is going to happen more and more often.
Well, let's hope not.
While developers are...
Well, I think the number of PS4, Xbox One releases are going to be dwindling.
Yeah, and they're not going to be games as big and ambitious as Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, no.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just it's a weird spot for it to be in. I guess it is over ambitious for what it could run on it. And it's a fair point that it was supposed to come out earlier this year when the newer consoles weren't an option. But beyond that, I think for me, this game's really good. Like, I wouldn't say it's a 10. Like, I wouldn't say it's perfect right now. I think Keanu's like kind of acting is a little stiff throughout it, which is very noticeable because he's there a lot. But I really enjoyed the developing storylines with characters. I'm really enjoying the customization of V as a character. I saw a really weird point that somebody was kind of annoyed that V's kind of storyline is more about V and not about you as a character. And I'm like, well, yeah, V is an established character in this game. It's not like you're playing a nameless protagonist. You're V. Like it's like
like you're playing Geralt.
Yeah, exactly. And you're making decisions based on how you want your V to be like, but it's still a base character. I think the game in parts looks really good. Like, I really enjoy driving around Night City. I think maybe it's just the car I'm playing in, and maybe also because I'm on PC, but the driving for me is a little sketchy in terms of controlling it. Like, the cars just feel a little bit weird.
Even I'm on console and it just feels a little bit...
And I don't know if that's just because it's the first car you get, that's the main car I've been driving, because I switched over to a motorbike.
Is it the only car? Okay.
No, you can buy lots. You get like literally as soon as you get into the further into the game, you start just getting messages at random all the time, being like, "Hey, do you want to buy this car? I've got this car for you." And I just have like my quest list has a whole section at the bottom for cars that is just maybe like got like 15 to 20 cars just sat there, being like, "If you want it, you can come buy it off us." Like, it's just the map is very, like, there's a lot to do on the map. There's a lot to explore. I actually think there's more to explore on this map than I had anticipated. I know through the previews and through a lot of the discussions, they'd already said, hey, don't expect to go into every building. But at the same time, I feel like you can go into a lot more buildings than you may expect to be able to. And
is it fast loading into the buildings?
There is several elevator rides. If it doesn't have an elevator, there's no loading times really for a lot of the buildings. Elevators are used as your loading kind of machines, which is a little bit sad to see now that we've had other games that have kind of
next gen game.
Yeah, it's just not kind of hitting that same kind of mark as we've experienced with other games so far. But I think this game I really like its dialogue options are like not just the options, but how dialogue happens in that game is really weird because like control's never taken away from you of the character really, unless your character is like sitting down for a conversation. There were conversations where like somebody had told me to like don't move a muscle to talk to me, and then I don't know why I idly just kind of tapped the W key and like moved my character by accident, and immediately the character was like, all right, you didn't hold you've moved too far forward, like it's on. I'm finding the different options in the game to be quite good as in terms of how you play styles. The skill system's weird because you get perk points, but then also you get attribute points. So the attribute points kind of change your like coolness, body, reflexes, whatever, and then the perks underneath it. So they're two separate lots of points. And I'm actually finding the way I'm playing at the moment is I'm just stacking the attribute points. And then the moment I get to a door that's like, hey, you need your intelligence to be +2, like 2 more higher, I'll just quickly pause, like go into my inventory, quickly add 2 points to it, and then just do it straight away. Like I don't feel like I am building the character in terms of those kind of stats around what I want it to be. It's more around what I need in the moment for the character, which I guess is a little bit different to a lot of games that make you do it when you first level up. But overall, I'm really enjoying this game, and I'm definitely excited to put a lot more time over the next like weekend as well. But yeah, over the coming weeks.
Ash, you've only played a couple hours on PlayStation 5.
I played a couple of hours. Barely scratched the surface. I will say that I ended my session with the game crashing on me. So obviously there are some bugs and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Obviously it's very introductory and sort of getting into the world and getting used to getting introduced to all the different systems and that kind of thing. But obviously it's interesting enough for me to want to keep going. So I don't know if it'll be one of those games that I stink like several hours into in one go. I feel like I'm probably just going to go play a couple of hours and then the game will kick me out and then, I'll go on with the rest of my life the next day.
So based on the fact that you don't want to dive into it for many hours, it hasn't like blown you away as here's one thing, I don't want to say too much because obviously I haven't played the game, so my opinions are just, I don't have any really, but one thing I've gathered from a lot of Twitter talk, even from people who like the game, I've seen people say, I really like the game, but also it's not the mind-blowing thing that I feel like a lot of us thought it was going to be. So
no, it doesn't feel innovative, I don't think. I think it's like Ghost of Tsushima earlier this year, it just does what it does very well.
I think the thing for me, is
except driving.
Now that I look back a little bit more reflectively, I think we were wrong to expect Witcher 3 levels of game out of this game a little bit. It probably sounds dumb. I'm saying it now. It probably sounds very dumb, and I'm backtracking a lot on it by saying it. But for me, the writing is still there. The side quests are still the same level of side quests you get out of The Witcher, in my opinion. A lot of the exploration and the one that's being used a lot as an example for side quests is there is a quest line that you quickly play that is all about chasing down AI taxis, trying to recover them, because each AI has different has had a virus, but they've all taken on different. One of them is you're talking a taxi out of jumping off a ledge, because it's going to try and just end itself instead of being reset and going back. Or there's another one that's having is very afraid of the rest of the city. And there's just different bits and pieces and there's one that has a really interesting kind of nod to another video game AI, which is very fun. But the writing in it and how that system goes, and you're talking to the original AI as these ones have kind of separated from him, and he's a father and these are his children. and the depth of the actual thought behind it and what you can do in the game is quite good. And I think that writing's still there. I just think in this setting, in this like game style, it's just showing that there is a lot of stuff that CD Projekt Red is, even though it's good, it's like, man, but I think if they do this again in another installment, it'll just be even better. I think this is very, very much just like a building point for them, which is, probably a lot of people say that's a bad thing because of the reputation that CD Projekt Red had, but they have kind of stepped out of what they were doing and gone into a different direction with this game compared to The Witcher 3. And a lot of people will probably say they bit off more than they could chew, and they definitely made some really bad decisions around certain issues within the game. But I'm really loving it still and enjoying it.
You think you finished it, Ash?
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah,
Too early to tell.
Here's my other question. You probably, neither of you are far enough to probably tell, but has Siri shown up in the game yet?
No. Actually, technically, yes. Technically, I will say yes.
Oh, really?
Technically. I chose the Corpo pathline, and Siri is on a magazine at the start of the game.
Interesting. So, in case anyone doesn't know, hasn't played Witcher 3, I'm playing on a video version of the show now. There's a scene in The Witcher 3 where Ciri talks about traveling through different worlds, and she actually describes the world that everyone assumed was Cyberpunk.
Describes Night City.
She describes Night City. So I know in the lead up to this game, I kept just wondering. I'm like, I wonder if there'll be like a.
There's very much, look, from what I've already seen with the Easter eggs that they're pulling from other video games, as I said, there is literally the AI that I mentioned earlier is literally like, even though they don't call it is literally just the AI from another video game. It's very easy to see. Like, yes. Correct.
I mean, you say if you're gonna say AI from a video game, I feel like most people are just gonna jump to GLaDOS. Like,
just guess it. I don't want to be the one that. Yeah, that's fine. I've now done it. You've made me do it. But yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm very sick. Like, I don't know if it's a pre-order. I think it was just a pre-order thing for Steam, but I have a Witcher jacket on my character a lot of the time that has like the Witcher symbol, and it's got like Geralt's shoulder pieces in the leather jacket.
It's a GOG thing.
Yeah, it might be a GOG thing.
Oh, did you get it through GOG?
But no, I got it through Steam.
No, like you can get DLC stuff through GOG if you connect your account.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
There's all sorts of DLC. We'll say got the physical edition. Very happy to get like a poster, like a booklet, a bunch of stickers, postcards.
They did that for The Witcher 3, but like that had like stickers.
Yeah, I know. I've got that too.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I'll just give my one quick, not as big, on the opposite end of the spectrum. I reviewed Call of the Sea this past week. I gave the game a 9 out of 10. It's quickly jumped up my list of one of my favorite things I've probably played this year. It's on Xbox Game Pass if you want to play it. The game is basically a puzzle narrative adventure. Like, you play as this woman called Nora who's going after her husband who's disappeared on a voyage, and you learn early in the game that her husband went to find a cure because Nora's got this disease that they don't really have a name in the game, but she has like these black dots all over her hand. So he's gone missing, so now she's taken it upon herself to find out where he went. And at the start of the game, you show up on this island by yourself, just someone drops you off and they're like, here, have fun, go. And then the game's broken up into 6 chapters, and they basically each chapter is like a biome to a degree. Like, you can walk around and there's like, you can find like ladders that her husband had left around a place to other people when they were like set up there. So that's where a lot of the story comes from, if you want to delve really into the story, which I did because I really love the narrative in this game. But then the core gameplay is puzzles, and I'm not a huge puzzle guy. Like, it has to be a good puzzle game to hook me, and this one definitely did. They were head-scratchy enough, but also they never reached that point that I hate with some puzzle games where I'm just wanting to throw the controller out the window and be like, I don't get it. Like, like how the fuck am I even supposed to solve this? Like, all of the puzzles, I always knew how I was probably supposed to solve it. I just had to figure out the right way to go about it. Like my favorite one came in chapter 3, where there's like you're playing. There's this crashed ship on this beach. And you're basically walking around, and there's like a different camp set up, and there's basically a couple different mini puzzles, and you have to solve the mini puzzles to solve the big puzzle, if that makes any sense. So it's like solving one of the smaller puzzles will give you a clue or an item that helps you solve one of the other puzzles, and so on and so forth. They did this early in the game where it's like, oh, there's this ripped up pieces of paper, and if you put them all together, you get a clue to this other one. So the puzzles are really great if you enjoy that. But the thing that stuck with me most about this game is actually the story, which was weird because I expected the story to be like okay, but probably the puzzle stuff would be at the forefront. But it's actually a weirdly endearing love story that kind of made me fall in love with this game the most, which is weird to say considering the game you're playing as Nora and like her husband isn't around, and you're constantly getting told about their romance through like either reading letters or her thinking about him or talking about him. But by the end of the game, especially with the way the game ends, I found like I was tearing up at the end, and I was like, wow, this is probably one of my favorite romances in video games most recently, which just kind of came out of a weird puzzle game. And also, I want to spoil when and how it is. I happily tweeted about it because I've seen them tweet about it, so I'm like, maybe this isn't under the full spoiler embargo or whatever. But like Sissy Jones, who voices Nora in the game, and then Yuri Lowenthal, who voices her husband Harry, they do a song together in the game. I'm not gonna say what the song is or where it is or
Future Days.
No, imagine.
Future Days.
They do a song. It's a cover of an old song that I'd never even heard of. And I won't say when or where or how it is, but I pretty much have been listening to it on repeat since then. And both of them, surprisingly, very good singers. Like hearing Yuri Lowenthal, who of course most people now know as Spider-Man. Obviously, he's most popular for Peter Parker at the moment. But my God, it's one of those things where you just hear people singing, you're like, wow, that's great. So yeah, you can 9 out of 10 if you're already my full review, explosionetwork.com. Also, if you get stuck on any of the puzzles, I did a full guide because fuck it, I don't know, tried different things all the time. I've got all the puzzle solutions up on the guide, so there you go. If you get stuck and you don't want to actually do them, like I did, so fuck off. That'll do it for this week's show. Big one. Hope you all enjoyed it. Cyberpunk Game Awards, massive week, of course. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying Cyberpunk if you're playing it. Hope you enjoyed the Game Awards if you watched it. There you go. Until next week, have a good one. Enjoy your games. Only a couple weeks left in the year. Bye. Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.